Earlier today, the Eagles get Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and the Saints' 7th rounder in 2025. The Saints will get the Eagles' 5th rounder in 2023, and at one of the worst picks in the 6th round in 2024. Once again, I was just talking to Xander. Xander goes, why do the Saints continue to get fleeced by the Eagles here? Welcome aboard National Football Show with your boy Big Sills. And I'm going to hit the like button for Howie Roseman today. I'm going to hit the like button, okay? There is no question that Howie Roseman, and today, by the way, official cutdown day, teams have to get down to 53, as all know. And we'll keep posting you and giving you updates on where the Eagles are and where other teams are, because there's going to be players that are going to be out there on the market and on the street that potentially could help the Philadelphia Eagles or other teams. Like Duke Johnson just got cut by the Buffalo Bills. If you're in search right now of a special teams guy and you're looking for a punt or a kickoff return guy, that might be somebody at a low price that you could bring in or at least take a look at, potentially, so that you can look at him and Duke Johnson could fulfill that need at special teams, and it's not going to kill you in the wallet. But no question, we'll keep you updated on everything that's going on. And it started out earlier today, and I'm going to do this. And I always tell people this, just so you know, when I see good things happening, Big Sills will always give you the skinny and always give you the facts on what's gone down here. By the way, I saw a list that Howie Roseman was on, that he's the least trusted general manager when it comes to agents. I'm not sure that's a bad thing. Okay? I don't want my general manager snoozing up the agents. I want him to get the very best deal possible for your organization. So if Howie's looked on by agents as not being very trustworthy, he's looking out for the best interest of the football team. I think that's actually a good thing, okay? I saw that poll, and I'm like, is that really bad that the general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles is not looked on by other agents as a good guy? I don't know. I kind of liked it. How he's looking to get the best roster built that he possibly can, right? Okay, I mean, look, man, no question. And by the way, I contacted the Saints after this deal went down. And Mickey Loomis is one of my favorite general managers in all the National Football League. Earlier today, the Eagles get Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and the Saints' 7th rounder in 2025. The Saints will get the Eagles' 5th rounder in 2023, and at one of the worst picks in the 6th round in 2024. Once again, I was just talking to Xander. Xander goes, why do the Saints continue to get fleeced by the Eagles here? And I would tell you this, the trade they made, obviously going into the draft with Howie Roseman, it's because the Saints are one of the worst cap teams that we have in the league right now. They've got cap issues. And sometimes teams are forced to go into a position where you've got to make difficult cuts. This kid's a young player. By the way, I'll get to who he is in a second here and how the Eagles can utilize him in the secondary. Here, real quick, did the Eagles get better today defensively? Personnel-wise? Absolutely. 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 And I'll get to you how you can play this kid here in a second. But the reason why the Eagles are doing business with the Saints, because there's a lot of talent in New Orleans. New Orleans has a good roster. Mickey Loomis, the Benson family, they do a great job at acquiring talent. They got great personnel people in the building. You want to do business with general managers that have an eye for talent. Mickey Loomis has an eye for talent. Mickey Loomis understands salary cap. They have all kinds of issues when it comes to the Saints cap. So to me, it makes just total sense to do business with teams that no personnel, and understand Loomis is doing this for the future of the Saints. He's not doing it for the present because presently right now, the salary cap doesn't favor New Orleans, and they're not allowed to keep very many people. Honey Badger's deal cost them this kid here. CJ is no longer a Saint because of Honey Badger. So let's get into who this kid is. And by the way, I appreciate everybody coming aboard. Please hit the like button, okay? And I appreciate it because let me say this to you here about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. One of the absolutely best shit talkers there is in the sport. And you put him on the other side of Darius Slay, you got a lot of attitude in that secondary now. Okay? You got a lot of attitude. And what makes this kid good is that he's versatile. And you could drop him in the safety position. And with 12 days out from the start of the season, that's going to be an easier transition for him to be able to start right away. Dude, cornerback is such a brutal position. I think if you look at all the positions that you have to play physically in the NFL, cornerback's the toughest position in sports to play. In our sport, at least. Think about this. You got to run backwards for 15 yards with the fastest and the most gifted and talented athletes on the planet. And you've got to run backwards and cover this guy, and then you've got to turn yourself into a wide receiver once the ball's in the air. It's the most difficult position. I always tell folks this. If you live in a cul-de-sac, find the fastest guy you can and run backwards and try to cover him. It's brutal. And when you can get a versatile kid like this, I'm telling you, this kid's a baller. This kid can play. This kid's got attitude. So now you add him in your secondary at the safety position, and now you've addressed it. Really a fine move. And I'm going to say this to you. Howie Roseman has been a star this offseason. He has been a star. You bet Hurts to win 21. CJ's a blue chip kid you got in your secondary now. Look at the moves too, man, that Roseman has made when it comes to bringing starters into the building. A.J. Brown, gifted. Shit, you even put Zach Pascal in depth at your wide receiver position. Hassan Reddick, 2 years in a row, he's double digits in sacks at 2 different organizations. Tells you he can adapt to a new system really quick. And I think he has. Starter. You bring Bradbury in, starter. You bring CJ in, starter. Kaiser White, starter. And these were all economically sound. And get this, these are not over-the-hill dudes that you traditionally see. Overpaid and old. These are 24, 25-year-old guys being brought into the building economically. Now, one of the reasons you're afforded this ability to do this is because you're not paying your quarterback $35 million. But Howie Roseman has built the best roster in the NFC. There is not a roster in the NFC better than the Philadelphia Eagles. Plain and simple. You have now put yourself in a conversation of having the best roster next to the Buffalo Bills. I mean, your secondary went from question marks where you didn't have CB2, now to where you're looking, okay, now it's time to plug in the machine and see if it works. You've put the engine together. You've put everything out there. You got a brand new V8 engine in your car. Now it's just turning the key and seeing if this thing rolls and rolls in the right direction. And if you got the right driver at the wheel. This is all going to come down to, do you have the right driver at the wheel? I'll say this to you. I don't like Jonathan Gannon as a defensive coordinator in the National Football League. Last year, he blamed the players. There's no excuses here. This is totally on you. By the way, do we not agree? This roster is better than the 17 roster that won the Super Bowl. Do we agree with this? Okay? Do we agree that this roster, from top to bottom, you can pick out and have an off comment about the quarterback position, but I'm talking 53. Okay? 53. 53-man roster. This has got to be Howie Roseman's greatest roster that he's constructed since he's been in charge of personnel. Xander says, I personally think it's way better than the Super Bowl roster. I've never seen this much talent on the Eagles in my life. Wow. Says a lot to me. This has got to be Howie's greatest roster and his greatest achievement. Okay? Has to be. Big Pickens says, much better on paper. Now, the question again, this is not the best coaching staff that's been assembled. So, it's the best. See what you don't have? I heard Barrett talking about the perfect scenario where everything is in line except the coaches. Isn't it funny? The most inexperienced people in the NovaCare Center is the coaching staff. It's the coaching staff. You don't have Doug Peterson and Jim Schwartz and Frank Reich as your assistant coaches in the building. You have none of that. So there's always skepticism on if these guys are going to put these people in the proper position to be successful. I would say this to you about the running back position. Don't think that Howie's done just yet. Okay? He may address it with more depth. Okay? There's going to be guys that are going to be on the street that can make the Eagle Ball Club, especially in the position of running back. Miles Sanders is good enough to be a star in the NFL. He's just not good enough to lean on when it comes to building an offensive rushing attack. You can't keep looking at that guy saying, when? When? You just can't keep doing it. But I'm going to tell you flat out here that Howie Roseman has been a sensational general manager this offseason. Sensational. Addressed edge. Addressed star wideout. Addressed the secondary. This Kaiser White guy is going to be a star this year. And you know what he did also? He brought guys in with chips on their shoulder. What, you don't think CJ coming over from the Saints is not going to have an ass with the way that whole negotiations went down in New Orleans? Or Bradbury, the ass that he has with the Giants? New management goes in there. They don't want to give him his money. So he has to take a small haircut. He's in the same division. You got a bunch of guys with lumberyards on their shoulders on that team now. You got a bunch of guys. See, I think this is different than the dream team. This is different. I get the coaching staff is still the outlier here, and it is with me. I don't trust the coaching staff because I'm not sure they're the guys yet. I thought they were smart a year ago to change up from throwing the ball to running the ball, and it showed me that they listened to the players, which is great, which is fantastic. They adapted. They adjusted. They had in-season adjustments. A lot of teams won't do that. And they did it. I was very pleased with that. I don't like the soft approach with all the pieces now that Jonathan Gannon has. Dude, you better bring blitzes. Jared Goff, you don't sit back and let Jared Goff throw the ball against you in week one. By the way, Lomas Brown, part of the broadcast team, a 20-year NFL veteran, will join us in this hour. And we'll get his thoughts on the first opponent for the Lions. You'll want to know how hard they've been working. You'll want to know what Dan Campbell has done. I'm telling you, man, that guy's the lion tamer up there. He's done a hell of a job with that. Jesse says, Sills, so dynasty or no? Bro, you can't have a dynasty on paper unless you want to call it paper champions. You've put everything in line to be successful. Now it's doing it. Now it's going out and being successful. Now it's going out and having the players accountable. You know, one thing I will say about what I said about the coaches and the inexperience, I don't give a crap what the coaches say or what they do. This is player accountability too. You got to go out and play your ass off right now. You got to go out and you've got to show everyone that this is the best roster in the NFC. As I like to tell you guys, September 11th, rent is due. Rent is due. Optimistic? Are you kidding me? Look at what one player can do to a defense. And by the way, CJ's also going to bring that shit-talking mentality into your huddle, an attitude, a guy you want in Philly. That guy is the kind of guy you want. See, look, I'm emotional, and I don't want my head football coach to be emotional. But I want my head football coach and my D coordinator, I want them to be aggressive. I don't want them to get too high when the highs are high, and I don't want them to surely get too low when the lows are low. Those are truly the great coaches. The guys that wear their emotions on the sleeve, Bill Belichick doesn't wear emotions on his sleeve. Nick Sirianni kind of does. It's okay. Okay, but I get a little suspect on that. Let the players be emotional. There's some serious potential here. Forte, I'm going to say it one more time. The Eagles have the best roster, 53-man-wise, in the National Football League. I wouldn't be shocked if Jalen Reagor is dealt by the top of next hour as well. Okay? I would not. The market is, and by the way, I want to tell you something else what Howie has done. Okay? Raid says the best move Howie made was bringing Fangio in as a midseason parachute if Gannon stays soft. We'll see. Okay? Let me tell you what else Howie Roseman has now done. So if you're Hassan Reddick and you're A.J. Brown and you're Zach Pascal and you're CJ and you're the rest of these players and you're a potential free agent coming up next year, Philly's the place you want to play. Philly's the place you want to put. Here, how about this? Howie says this to these guys. Hey, you come in here and ball, I'll give you a contract. And I'll give you a contract extension. That starts to resonate with the rest of the league. It becomes fashionable to want to play in a place. It becomes contagious. Where you see guys getting signed and having success, that's why this is so important here. If I'm a potential free agent next year, wide receiver, what have you, okay? I mean, you want to play in Philly. Okay, you want to play in Philly. He's throwing that out for the next 2 years. Xander goes, I'm biased about Howie. Obviously, okay, he's a fan of JAKIB, but he's really had an impressive offseason. You know, you don't have to be biased to look at smarts and reality here. Okay? That's a man that has learned from every mistake and is coming correct and having it correct at all. How about this? Let me say this to you. There was a power struggle between Doug Peterson and Howie Roseman. There was a power struggle. Do we not agree with that? There was a power struggle between those two men. And the owner has to get some credit here. The owner went like this. Man, Doug delivered me a Super Bowl. Coached him up, won it. What a hard decision that must have been for him to go. It's either Howie or Doug. Who do I choose? And you know what the owner did? The owner went with the builder instead of the teacher. He went with the builder. He went with somebody that he's known for over 20 years. You know, I'm going to tell you this also. Maybe having sat in that corner for a couple of years when Chip Kelly was in the building gave a whole different perspective on how Howie was going to build this team and how he was going to go forward. There is no doubt the whole Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson fiasco has hardened him and also has made him, I think, a better general manager. I think he's had to take a couple steps back and go, so what do you think? You know how hard that is to ask somebody what they think? Especially something that's got your name on it. What do you think? Nobody wants to get someone else's opinion when your name's on it and your ass is on the line like that. Howie's ass is on the line here because he has no excuses. Okay? He has none. All Around Sports says, hey, Big Seals, it ain't too late. This is not about Jalen Hurts. This is about a 53-man roster. This is about the unit. This is not about one guy. This is about the roster. This is about a general manager that has learned from his mistakes and is pushing forward. Debbie goes, not a Howie fan. Hey, Debbie, to your point, go back and look at that 2020 draft. Not the best. Not the best. But what he's doing now, he's doing a great job. Go back and look at that 2020 draft. I don't know. You know, you look at it and you're like, I guess, very underwhelming. Flex, every coach not meant to have a roster moves. Everybody's not that guy in New England. You got a GM for a reason. After what Chip did, Lurie wouldn't allow it again. I think general managers at times get in the way. Hawk's saying dynasty. Hawk, boy, I'll tell you, you've got everything on paper. Everything on paper. Kind of scary. Howie made Philly the place to be. Matthew, if I'm a potential free agent or I just have been cut, you're damn right. I'm saying, man, I hope the Eagles pick me up. 85 says, Dan, we need a bruiser back and trade or pickup. You know what? I'm going to get into the running back situation here in a second. Wow, the Raiders cut Leatherwood. He was struggling. I don't think he ever really overcame that injury he had when he was at Bama. I really don't. I just don't think he ever really overcame that. But I'll tell you what I would do. Okay, you know, they got too much depth there. They're not the Eagles. I know he played with Dickerson. And the Eagles got Dickerson. I mean, that's right, because Dickerson didn't Dickerson go to FSU? I think he's a Florida State kid. Man, really great stuff. Look at all these starters. Look at all these starters that Howie has gone out in the offseason here and has acquired here. It's really remarkable here. Okay? Really remarkable here. The trade is great. The trade is great. Howie has done this now to the coaching staff. Okay? Here, guys. Okay? Here. Okay? Here. We're going to look at the NFC. We're going to look at some of the top players in the NFC. I got an all NFC East team mapped out for you here, too. As I said, Lomas Brown's going to jump aboard with us here. Least trustworthy general manager in all of football is Howie Roseman. Good. I don't want him ponying up to I don't want him being friendly with agents and having to have something where you got to deal with you're looking out with what's making it best for your roster. Like I said, I think it's a merit badge. I think it's a merit badge. A merit badge. Wow. 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 You guys know me better than anyone. I don't give kudos out. I do not give kudos out for off-season stuff and phony postings on statistics, but you've accumulated the best roster in the NFC. Okay? You've accumulated the best. Philly Ace says, I could not believe that we picked up a safety. I can't believe you picked up a 24-year-old kid, Ace, who's a starter. You cut a starter in New Orleans because your cap issues are so bad. Howie swoops in. Hey, and guys, you understand that this is all because of Jalen Hurts. You understand this, that Howie can do all this because of Jalen Hurts. Some of you are going like this, Sills, what's Jalen Hurts got to do with a cornerback? Because Jalen Hurts has made it so that the organization is going to go into a regular season with a guy making less than Zach Pascal. He makes less than Zach Pascal. That's why they're able to get Kaiser White. That's why they have the belief that that kid can win ball games this year. Okay? They believe that. Xander's like, they can keep this team and sign Hurts, to which is crazy. And then you got that $5.5 million cap hit from Alshon Jeffries falling off the cap. You're going to have more room. Doug was just a casualty of war, quite frankly, after what Chip did. Howie vowed never to let that happen again, and he built the 17-team coaches are replaceable. Depends. Then I might have to take back everything I said about Howie. Hey, Paul, Howie's job is done now. Where Howie gets in trouble, he gets involved on Sundays. Stay out of it. You don't need to be giving active roster tips on Thursdays to your coach. Let them. It's the coaches now. Okay? It's the coaches. Howie's done his job. A+. And you know me, having watched me for over a year now, you guys know this. This is not something that I do. I don't sit here and give you fantasy talk. I have reservations about conditioning, the practice habits, all of that. That's not changing. But what I am telling you is you've built Rome. Will you own Europe? Will you be a dynasty like the Roman Empire? You've got the horses. You've got the cavalry. Do you have the coaches? And most importantly, do you have the patience to let this thing play out? You got a lot of guys on one-year contracts too. This thing's either going to take off like a Saturn rocket or this thing's going to explode. I actually love it. I'd rather have my general manager doing instead of sitting back on his fat ass doing nothing. Okay? And economically smart. These are all dudes in their 20s. A.J. Brown, 25. C.J., 24. Crazy good. Crazy good. Seals, can you explain to me what CJ does for the defense? Kyle asked. Gives you versatility. You could play him at corner. You could play, if you have any injuries, you could drop him over to corner. You could play him at strong safety. You could play him at free safety. He's a shit talker. He's a tackler. He's a player. And he's an attitude player.